All right, anybody got one?
Charlie, I want
How many Morgan boats did you make?
Somewhere around 8,000 or better. There was one model, the Yacht Island 41,
Yeah.
was over 1,200 of that version. And it's one of the most criticized boats that ever came out. And the reason it is number one, the competitors just couldn't. We were building those one a day, would you believe that? I had two lines, one would come off every other day. But it answered a marketing theory. And they actually are shoal draft, but they've been all over the world. I mean, people have just been in the worst conditions with them. And people say, well, they don't go to windward. Well, I'll tell you, a hell of a lot of other boats I've beaten with those boats don't go to windward too. But when you're towing a three-bladed prop, you got an old sagging roller furler jib, you're weighing 23,000, 25,000 pounds, and you may or may not have a clean bottom. You're not going to go to, and you got a catch rig, which is ideal for offshore sailing and many other reasons. So I laugh at them, you know, but anyhow, they were very successful in that sense. You started that question.
Charlie, I'm interested in knowing your ideas on how to improve the starboat that you told me about at one time.
Well, the starboat's about as improved as I think they can do it. They just had the Western Hemisphere champs in Tampa, and I walked over there to say hello the other day, and who did I meet? By accident, I'd never met him, but when Dennis Conner won the America's Cup back in 1987, who did he defeat but a young man who had designed the Kookaburra and was the Australian defense boat. And he was just the nicest, soft-spoken, gentle man. You know, he came across on the TV and everything. This guy's got a tiger's heart, let me tell you, and a mind, it's a bear trap mind. It's not one of those kinds you can't get open to get something in. This one that goes. And I'm just talking to this guy, and it turns out to be Ian Murray, who has been world champion in several different world champion, match race champion, and of course, he's a very successful businessman in Australia today, and it was great to meet him. But that class has spawned, I won the Western Hemisphere Championships in 1974. And it was not easy, but some of the greatest sailors that I've ever known came down through that class. You name them, and I'll tell you they were there. Yes, sir.
Sure. 22 Morgan, am I right?
No, there's a 24
Morgan.
Funny, we call it the ugly duckling. We abandoned producing it. We were going to introduce it, we just had so many things we were trying to do. So we hung his plug up in the ceiling and went on with something else. And then and I had this terrible thing, I'll be drawing, and it's so hard to get an attractive boat in 24 feet. We have some freeboard, some headroom, and also we were designing it to the MORC, Midget Ocean Racing Rule, and the Cruising Club of America rating rule. Well, it was not an attractive boat. It was pretty good though.
74?
Oh, earlier than that.
67.
So anyhow,
And
yeah.
69, I've got two of them.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, but they're both the same, the 24 and 25 are the same boat. So we had announced it, gave the stuff to the dealers, and they were ordering boats up, and they found out it was really 24 feet, 11 and a half inches long. And, oh my God, why don't we call it the 25? Well, you know the story. Eventually we did call it that.
Now, is it true, sir, that the 24 was the outboard version and the 25 was the inboard engine?
No, the price point on that was still an outboard boat. And they did build after I retired from the company, I think they did maybe build some of the inboards as a standard. You may know that. I'd have to look it up.
So I come across the 42
Yes.
of yours down in Fort Myers. Some guy bought it, got into divorce, and in that situation. And guy built it up, put it in the water. He was a designer himself. He designed catamarans. It's a Norwegian guy. And he built a couple of catamarans down in Fort Myers and lived on it for a while. And then I don't know what happened to him. I can't think of what the name of it is right now.
Well,
a 42 footer.
Yeah, well, we built quite a few of those, but we didn't build as many of those because the rules changed. The rules went haywire in the
I don't think it was a racer.
Oh, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, damn fast.
I know the engine was hard to get at, I'll tell you
Well,
that.
that's all those boats.
Right there in the center.
Little Atomic 4, hey, who could afford a diesel in those days? What was it gonna be?
I had no idea.
Yeah, well, it came out, eventually, Westerby came out, and Perkins came out with the 4107, and changed it to 4108.
Right.
But that became ideal, and they got the price down where we could afford to put them in a boat, but you couldn't, that thing cost $6,000 or $7,000 to put one in, you know, a boat that you're gonna sell for $29,995, what? No, but that was a great boat. I had the first one.
Good sailor.
Had the first one, then we had a Mark II, which I campaigned for a while, and she won the Mexico race. They were great boats, fun to sail, had a lot of lead on them, and deep keel boat.
Deep keel.
And my daughter her husband had one, and sold it to a fella that burned up in Marco Pass a few months back or something. Yes, sir.
Does the tank thing take into effect the leeway?
Yes.
They move it sideways?
Well, they drag it sideways. That's how the loads become imposed on the dynamometer.
Thank you.
That was always a huge question, though, about how much is the leeway actually. And it's still part of the mystery of it all, but nowadays, with using larger models, it's been very accurately determined, and you actually have to be making leeway in order to generate the lift. And so once they came, the sort of boats you see today with deep keels, bulbs on the bottom, and an aerodynamically efficient fin, hydrodynamically efficient based on aerodynamics fin, is much superior than what you were seeing in these versions, these types of boats. On the one hand, but they're a deep draft. I'm a strong proponent, by the way, just from a philosophical standpoint, of shoal draft keel centerboarders. Centerboards cause problems. You've got to maintain a boat, whatever you got. And we did some studies long ago after the huge success of Finisterre, Lady Patty, which was around here. She rotted out here at Sneed Island Boat Works. She was a Phil Rose design. Phil Rose got a world of them out. Some of the best early Americans cut boats were keel centerboarders, but they were shoal boats. But I always remark and I'm also a strong proponent of the type of boat that Cruising Club of America sponsored, and that was a boat that could carry a lot of load under agreed cruising gear. You didn't have to take everything off whenever you wanted to go racing. They were shallow draft, by and large. I mean, there were plenty of keel boats, actually, under the CCA rule, but we learned with Paper Tiger, and we learned with Ted Hood's Robbins. We learned with Comanche, we learned with Finisterre, we learned with Revenac, we learned with, you name them, left, right, and center. Keel centerboarders just would beat the hell out of a damn good keel boat about the same waterline and under that same rule. Somebody mentioned Finisterre owner
Carl Mitchell.
Owned or campaigned a boat called Caribbean. She was later called Marie Amelie, or Cayenne, I can't remember which she was in 1961. We crossed her bow, east Brothers, north of the Bahama Bank on the way to Miami-Nassau racing, about a 28-knot nor'easter. We had a #1 heavy Jenny up in that boat Paper Tiger you saw. We were on the weather rail, and they all were on the weather. The whole damn bunch from the New York Yacht Club were like crows on a fence there. We crossed their dead wing bow. We were angling across the banks on starboard tack, crossed it. Well, that got the riders going, for sure. We won that race. But the thing that I want to point out is, if you've got a deep keeled boat, you have just generally speaking, reduced safe refuge by a large amount. And it kind of depends on where you are in the world, but I'm here to tell you that you can be a brave soul and go, I can't remember in a 6'3" draft, 5'3" draft, trying to come in South Pass here, one night by myself. And boy, when she banged that bottom the first time, I turned tail. And I had to work my way on up the coast in the Northwestern, and a big sea running and all. And the other choice was turn tail and run back to Boca Grande, because I sure wasn't going to try Venice Inlet. So my point is that shoal draft, whether you're going to windward like a rocket or not, you suck up that centerboard and get in somewhere and out of it. And safe refuge, I hear from so many people that are talking about selling the house, the farm, the kids have grown or whatever, and the dog died, and we're going to jump on our whatever boat and go around the world. And what type of boat should I be getting? And I'm telling them a short draft boat because of that very access to safe refuge.
Amen to that.
So anyway, yes, sir, speak.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you a little story about the fate of old designers.
Of old
Yeah, I was in.
I'm getting into that category.
Well, I think a lot of us have got a few miles under the keel here. But I bumped into Olin Stevens in the Rome airport about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
He had been over there consulting on a restoration of, I don't know whether it was one of his designs, but it was an older
I think they
boat.
rebuilt Stormy Weather over there.
That may have been it. I don't remember that part of it. So we had a chance to talk, because I had a boat designed by him, built by Nevins. And
Which model did you have?
I had a New York 32.
Oh, great. I'll tell you the story about those.
Well, the great thing was, I mean, he was as sharp as a tack. Remember
Yeah.
all of the design, you know, and all the construction questions, because there were a few questions on that particular. On that.
We're getting old.
What's that?
Those boats were getting old.
Well, not only that, I mean, the way they were built,
Yeah.
you know, and that sort of stuff. And they did have a number of weaknesses, but they were cheaply built. But so we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun talking about it. He was traveling on his own. He was living somewhere outside of Boston, and couldn't. You know, his hearing was starting to go, but he still got around. And he had just received the key to the city where this reconstruction project was.
Isn't that something? Well, the last time I talked to Olin, I was at the Naval Academy. We were having some seminars there, and get this tap on my shoulder and turn around and it's Olin. And he picks up on a conversation we had had 2 years before. Just a minute, let me see here. But yeah, he's what a marvelous man. But the New York 32s, they're great boats, and that was his best when he was 22 or whatever when he designed it.
Right.
And
they were built, you know.
they were very thoroughly tank tested. They have a great organization now. People that I'm in touch regularly with, the gal that is sort of historian for them and writing a history of that model. They were tank tested at Stevens Institute, and they were part of the evolution of establishing the mechanical systems and the scaling up mathematics that were related to tank test procedures there. Yes, he was